Hello, welcome to Toffee TV. It is the final word. Manchester United 2, Everton 0. And we are here to discuss it, joined by Jack in the studio to go through this one. Jack, another disappointing afternoon for Everton.
A very typical Everton performance, really, wasn't it? Sums up everything we already know about this side in terms of the negatives, everything we've been saying for weeks, 11 weeks. I think actually just the absolute lack of quality in the final third combined with a real action plan as well to make the most out of what we've got in that final third as well. Made the game that, when you look at the stats, was relatively even, but you know, the player quality in that final third really comes into it when the decision making and the finishing and everything that goes into that, and actually made quite a complete scoreline for Man United in the end.
The manager went with the same team as last week. I actually thought it was the right thing to do, to be honest with you there. But it does show up the deficiencies at the moment in the final third with, you know, I don't think either winger performing at the best of their ability means a striker's isolated. But Everton actually started the game all right. You know, they kept taking the ball off Manchester United in the opening 5 or 6 minutes when they were trying to play out, but the evidence is there in the decision making as well. But some of that, when we get the ball, isn't it? It shows you that they're either low on quality or low on confidence.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we set up again same way, basically same way we set up all season. I wouldn't have played Ben Godfrey personally. I would have put a right back in at right back. I just think last couple of weeks, a couple of the goals we've conceded, you could look at Ben Godfrey and just think there could have been a change in there just to make us a little bit more attack-minded, but he stuck with it. And yeah, we've took the ball off them loads of times. We changed it over, but we've got no composure in the final third. We've got poor decision-making. And it's not just a one-off, is it? It's a whole season. Manager's been saying it since day one, that we create chances. You literally go back and watch after the first game, and what Sean Dyche defines as playing well is getting the ball into areas round the box and then missing the chances. And at some point, you have to look at it and think, well, that's not playing well. Because if you can do that, then putting the ball in the back of the net is the only way that you're actually doing well. That's the purpose of the game. So we fluffed our lines again when we had decent, not opportunities, because I don't think any of them, we haven't made the goalie make a save really. So we've carved out opportunities to create better opportunities. Let's just say that, and we failed, haven't we? So once again, we've done it to ourselves.
We make a lot of half chances though, don't we? Because we're not capable of carving out anything more defining that. You know, we will get the occasional great chance, but then again, you look at the quality of the strikers there, both missing chances, underperforming their XG. So on the rare occasion we can make, you know, a brilliant on a plate chance, it's not a guarantee we take that either.
We had a really good opportunity inside 2 minutes. We had a free kick which came in, and Amadou Onana is on his own. He's got between 2 defenders, and if he actually, I don't understand, he jumps, and I don't understand why he jumps, because the flight of the ball is dipping. So by the time he jumps, it hits his knee and bounces through, and Ben Godfrey can't knock it past. And he was onside, Godfrey. If he got a touch, he'd have scored. But if Onana doesn't jump, he's in with the goalkeeper, and it's those half chance moments, I think. Then we have other opportunities where we take the ball off them. We saw this the other week against Spurs, where we won the ball back 18 times in the final third, which was the highest number of a team for 3 years or something. We didn't do anything with it. We didn't create anything from it, even though we kept getting the ball back. We'd done it on Saturday. We'd get it back. Players stop running. You see, like, I was nearly just going to undo my own argument by saying you see the best teams. Well, forget about the best teams. You see a lot of teams drive into the box there and get a shot away or whatever. Everton don't do that. Everton go wide and then turn around and come back again. And by the time they've done that, United have players goal side and the opportunity's gone.
Well, we had another instance where Beto picks up the ball and carries it and ends up going out to the left. Does quite well initially.
Yeah.
And then it seems like he's waiting what seems like years for McNeil to come and show himself for the pass.
Yeah.
He eventually gets there, but he gets far too close to Beto in the end, and then the pass isn't even on at that point. But, you know, a well-oiled team who has plans for going forward, Beto offloads the ball to McNeil. He plays first time, ball into the box, and you've got a midfield runner coming in to challenge for that ball. Maybe you don't score there, but you know you can force a shot or maybe a corner, and you know, that's just building up your chances, building up your momentum in the game. But it just seems like we've got no plan going forward.
I think that because let's have like a bit of balance as well. It's not all on Sean Dyche. This
absolutely
is
not.
He's not. He isn't the one who's missing opportunities, but by the same token, I don't think you can like not put any blame on him and the coaching.
Put quite a lot of blame.
No, what I'm just trying to say, because I've seen people have like had this discussion, and I've seen a couple of things on you just see stuff and people are arguing, and I've seen a thing of him. He's done brilliant with the defence, and that's all him. The fact that we can't go forward's got nothing to do with him. So it's like something that looks quite positive is all Sean Dyche, and anything that is a bit negative is nothing to do with him. But I think any manager can use that argument. Frank Lampard could have used it. Benitez, Allardyce is the master of that. If they win a game, it's me. And if you get beat, they didn't do what I told them to. Yeah. And I think my point with this is, can we be doing more from a coaching perspective?
It's really difficult, because a lot of this, it's like almost like your eyes versus stats in many ways. It's like he came out with some stats after the game about entries into the box and all this kind of thing, and you're like, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. I'm watching the game, and I don't need the stats to tell me how poor we are in front of goal. Now, if we're poor,
27 goals will tell you that.
If we're poor at the other end, we're conceding goals, right? So if we're poor in front of goal, then what are we doing? You know, like as you just said, he takes the credit, and this is not about him as such, but he takes the credit, or people give him the credit.
So people give him the credit.
I think he takes it as well, but for the defensive side. But football's about two ends of the pitch. And we always say about balance. It's always about finding the balance.
Yeah.
And if you look at like average positions from this game, our wide men are quite narrow, and and the fullbacks aren't going high enough. And it's little things like that. But then on the flip side of that, we've put 30 crosses into the box, and only 7 of them are accurate crosses, which is not on the person who crosses them. But there's a weird like sort of. Like Jack just said, what are we trying to do? If you're putting 30 crosses into the box,
got to flood the box.
You've got to be better, haven't you? It's 23%.
You got to flood the box.
23% accuracy. You've got to be better. You've got to know exactly what you're doing. We say it every week. It all feels like it's coming off the cuff. Now we might say, well, it's not, and it's designed to be like that. But a lot of the time, it does, because if we first 10 minutes, if we're stopping them, we're breaking the ball down. We have turnovers, we're winning it back, Dwight McNeil wins it back, or a Jack Harrison wins it back. Why aren't the fullbacks bombing forward and creating a width? And suddenly what you've done there is you've said there's an option to cross, but there's also, you've took their fullbacks wide, and then McNeil can drive forward, which is quite good at. We never create those overloads.
No.
So that, to me, if we were doing that, I could say, I can see what we're trying to do. Yeah. But I don't, and McNeil's ended up having 5 shots in similar places because he's took the ball off their player. And they're the chances we're talking about. But they've come because McNeil took the ball off someone, he started forward, and he shot a few times from a similar area. I just don't know what we're trying to do. And we're now in March, whereas the manager on day one said that was the issue. So how'd you get from the first day of the season to March and you've not really done anything about it? Because I can't see what has changed since then to now. All I see is us having a lot of the ball in the final third and doing nothing with it. Because what's the point?
The thing Sean Dyche has to contend with, though, is that the area of the pitch where we're weakest is also where we have our weakest players. as well. You look at the defence where we're strongest. I think we generally, other than the right back slot, we have a good quality player in defence. The midfield, it's functional, isn't it? It's not great, but it serves a purpose. The attack is made up of unproven players and I'd say championship players.
Let me just throw something at you then that someone said to me when I was like, yeah, but whatever, right, okay. Yes, Jack Harrison. He said yes to Chimiti. He said yes to Beto. He's got Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He said yes to Dan Juma. So let's take Dom out because he was there. 4 players have come in attacking areas and he's agreed them all. So we have to be very careful, I think. In last year, a year ago, 100%, what could he do? He came in the door. We couldn't give him any players. And he come in and he was like, so what I've got Neil Mopai to work with. I've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin's not fit. And I've got Ellis Sims and Damari Gray's me centre forward. No one could have had a go at Sean Dyche. He didn't have anything and no tools to work with. And yet, this summer, he played his part in four attacking players where the likes of Frank Lampard didn't have any of that say. Lampard just had to get on with what he was given, and yet people jumped on his back immediately when we didn't win games. Benitez will argue, and I've heard him say this a couple of times since he left, he lost Dominic Calvert-Lewin in game 4. That was it. He seen him again at New Year's Day, and he had him for 1 game, and he was sacked. Richarlison started, then got injured and was out for a month, then came back, and then was out again, and then came back. And other than that, he had Andros Townsend and Damari Gray. Or he had Salomon Rondon. So he was arguing he didn't have a forward line, whereas people have said to me when I've gone, yeah, but it's not the manager's fault. Beto's not scoring or Dom's not scoring as such. I had that back to me. Well, hang on, he brought in, there's 60 million quid gone out there, or well, whatever. Not 60 million gone out, but like that talent of kind of that pool, he's overseen. I mean, I don't know where they got 60 from, but he's certainly overseen 40 because of it's 12, 13 for Chimiti, 2 for Dan Juma alone, 25 for Dan. You know what I mean? So you have to look at it and go, it's not Frank Lampard where Dom's out for 3 months and you've got nobody, Anthony Gordon and Damari Gray are your main things. So we have to have that little bit of balance. He has had that all season. Last year, 100% when he come in, he had nothing to work with and he done well.
You're not wrong, Baz, at all, because, he has probably enjoyed a better quality of attackers, minus the period that Richarlison was here than the previous managers have as well. But you have got to look at those signings and go, well, 2 of them were on loan, and then the other 2 have been bought on drip on a 2 million a year over however many years. I think if you're shopping in that market, because that's the only market you can afford, you are limiting in the first year.
Yeah.
I think when you look at maybe managers like Lampard or Benitez, who might have enjoyed better attacking records, they were doing those things at times, like pushing players forward, getting overloads as well, but at the expense of weakening us in the other direction as well. Sean Dyche has clearly looked at this team and gone, the best players in this team are at the other end of the pitch, protecting our goal as well. We need to maximise where we're strongest. That being said, it's his job to find a balance in that team and get the most out of the defensive players, keep us strong at the back, but give us more going forward. I think that's a fair enough criticism to say he needs to find a better attack and balance in this team. But I do understand why he's prioritised the defence, because that's where our key players are.
I think as well, and this should be on the recruitment team as opposed to the manager areas, that I just still don't get how we're sat here in 2024 and there's no pace in this team, and it's like it's such an important aspect of, certainly in the Premier League, like every team has got people who can run it, and I get your point, Jack, and I was only giving you that thing about the options because that's been an argument that was put to me. Well, hang on a sec, what about this? And I was like, I hadn't really thought of it like that. Fair play, but how can our recruitment team apparently know all these players that everybody else is looking at? Yeah, everybody else can find pace and we can't. And even if the money low outlet.
I imagine it's probably like Jack just said though. I imagine that comes down to the terms you agree to when you sell players. And we've bought players in the last couple of years that clearly the terms suit the seller because they know they're going to get more money because we can't pay as much up front. Dwight McNeil was a key one last season where yeah, we
4
did,
million
you know,
season.
up front, and it was 20 million over and Beto's another one. There's no way on any earth anyone would pay anywhere near 30 million for Beto if it was straight cash. There's just not a chance.
No.
I wouldn't pay more than 15 million for him if it was straight cash, but we've obviously been pushed to...
25 million, isn't it? You know, some...
No, I wouldn't pay more than 15. I wouldn't pay more than 15, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But we've been pushed into a situation where they've gone, well, if you're not paying for us, like, enough, like, in the first year, you're not giving us a down payment at least, then... And that's where we are, and, you know, and I still, you know, you're absolutely right. The recruitment has brought in attacking players, and we probably thought we'd solved the problem, but they can't put the ball in the back of the net. But also, I think this is more fundamental to it. The chances aren't really real, are they? They're not real chances.
Well, I was just going to ask you this about Jesse. I didn't see it because we were at games. It was the Palace game. So we were at the match. So I hadn't seen any of the Sky thing, but a lot of people sent me stuff and were like, look at this, and this is what Jesse Marsh said. So they looked at Everton's chances, because that's a thing, isn't it? Everton have lots of shots and all that. And whether you think Jesse Marsh is crap or not, he's a fella who's worked in football for a long time. He's managed in the Premier League, he's managed in the Bundesliga, he's managed in MLS, he's managed in Austria. So he's done all right in his career. What he was saying was, number of shots doesn't equate to good chances. And the reason Everton aren't scoring goals is don't create good enough chances.
No, it's not.
And of course, there's some poor execution as well, which is players missing. I mean, what Sean Dyche could say, and he has said it for 3/4 of the season so far, is our XG. Well, Everton's XG, we should have scored before Saturday 41.5 goals. I don't know where the half comes from, but it was 41.5 and we'd scored 29. So we were underperforming. It was Europe's biggest underperformer.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of that. But I was just interested in Marsh saying these numbers aren't quite real.
We've all got a height.
We've
all got a height. I mean, the stat is 0.06, I believe I was told over the weekend, for shots, which is really low.
On Saturday?
No, that's in general. It's all the shots are rubbish. We've all got a height. We didn't make the goalkeeper make a save.
No.
Right? Number one. Beto, and I've been saying it all season, when everyone's been telling me how dross Dominic Calvert-Lewin is, put Beto in there then, let's see what happens. Not having a go Beto.
Don't say, 'cause he's got
what
one and
were
two.
the chances? How many chances did Beto get made for him? How many balls were put on Beto's head?
I know.
None. There's none there. There's none there, because we do not make chances. What we have is chances that fall for McNeil's of the world and people coming on the end of things on the edge of the box, or we create openings where we get into the box.
But the thing is, no, you're right, because you just hit a stat there, but we put 30 crosses in, right? Crossing it on diagonal. And this is what you should drive me mad when we had Duncan Ferguson. It drive me mad. We'd hit balls like this. Yeah. And it's like, what do you want him to do? So when Dom's there, we do it. We done it for Beto. In fact, when Dom come on, McNeil tried it twice, a diagonal ball. And it's like, what do you want him to do? Like, realistically, what do you want him to do if that ball's hanging towards the edge of the penalty area? All he can do is flick it down, really, isn't it?
And hope he
can either have a run it or hope he can somehow cushion it or header it down. And again, I know people will be going, he's not good enough, Dom. That's not the argument here at the moment. What we're saying is that the way we do things, just because a number says you've put 30 crosses in, doesn't mean you're getting to the byline and cutting things back. Our fullbacks don't. Ben Godfrey twice in the second half overlapped and twice had no intention of crossing it, and then he put one in near the end where he just hit it. He just hit it towards the goal and then moaned because I think Dom hadn't gone towards it. He couldn't get anywhere near it, Calvert-Lewin, if he'd have tried. He just basically hit it that way instead of carrying on one more and then fizzing it across. So it is that quality of ball. Michalenko kind of goes and tests the water in that final third early on, and then sort of goes, I'm not going again.
It's not relentless.
No.
Like I was watching a thing last week on TNT, breaking down
Unai
Emery's tactics with him. Yeah. And he was saying his most important play is his left back. And the one we sold him sits on the bench. But he said, what we do is we just create all this space and then he has all that freedom to go down there and he just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and he just does it all day, and we have this tactic and that's all we do. It's a tactic. The left back is left with all this space.
But we try to do that with the switch, but Mykolenko doesn't rate.
No, but the problem is though, that's it. If it's just a switch, it's not going to, it doesn't catch you in the right position.
Yeah.
You've got to have a plan where you are moving everyone over and then leaving that space, and then suddenly they're free. And we just don't do it. I just watch the tactics and listen, if the tactic is, like Jack said there, if the tactic is to just be as defensively as strong as we can be, and then nick it on a set piece, then so be it. But we're going to have to almost go back to doing that then, like doing it properly, where we're not giving anyone an opportunity to do anything against us. I mean, it's just like, no, we'll just sit in. But I don't think
that'll work though, mate, because we haven't got pace on the work, have we?
But
last year we had them out.
But if that's your plan, if your plan is we're going to be defensively strong and nick one on a set piece, then you're going to have to be defensively strong instead of being a little bit a foot in one camp and a foot in the other, which is, I think, has happened probably gradually over the last 3 months. Is we're not quite sure what we are, and I don't quite think the manager has stuck to one thing because he can see that it isn't working, and the more it doesn't work, the more he's sort of tried a little bit more to be expansive, but never ever going all the way there. And I think that's a big problem. I think he has Godfrey in the team because he does offer pace and he can get up and down, but like you've just said, he just doesn't have any quality in the final third.
Just rushes things.
He just because he's centre back,
and he doesn't want to put the ball in a box. What you should say to players in that area though is make it that easy for them. If you're running, run down the wing, just cross it. Then you get it again, run down the wing, cross it. Don't stop. Just keep going and putting it. Just be basic so he doesn't have to think.
Hand on heart, I just don't think this manager's good enough. I just don't think he's good enough. There's two schools of thought. I asked on Twitter the weekend what people thought. Two schools of thought. Either the manager's good enough and the players are not good enough, or the players are good enough and the manager's not good enough. And it's sort of come back 50-50, and some people just said everything, which is fair. And I understand both sets, because where we are, it is difficult to work out what we are. Some of our players are really average. Really average. And you've got to say that. And I said this on Saturday, far too many of these players have smoke blown up their arses every week. They really do. Some of them are championed like for doing the most basic things in the world. And it's don't get me wrong, I understand that's football fandom for you. You want something to do well, and you like people, and you get behind the stories, and but and there's no reason sometimes also to be negative in that. If players are limited, they're limited, aren't they? There's not much you can do about that. But I do think, but then what happens is you champion them, and then because of the way where we live in social media and everything, is that people who don't see it like that just go, what are you talking about? And then it becomes almost that competition that we all have. Well, I think he's great, so he's always great. And it's just not true. We have loads of bang average footballers. And you can find consistency in it. But there's just not enough talent in this team. And that's where you have to look at your manager then and say, what can you give these players? And we've talked about it quite a lot. Funny enough, we both, I think, spoke about it after the game of giving the something different for the attacking players, maybe getting a coach in or something. And the first thing everyone basically said was, who pays for that? Which just maybe that. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about our football club, what does? Who pays for it? But we're not thinking out the box, and we're doing the same thing over and over and over again. And it isn't changing anything, because these are not players who were in bad form. Some of these players are playing as maybe the best they can. Genuinely, they're not like, don't look at the team and go, he's having an absolute stinker. He's been terrible for months. You just go, yeah, he's doing, James Garner, you just go look at James Garner and go, he's doing all right. He's doing all right. He's not doing anything terrible. But has he got anywhere to go upwards? No. And has he got anywhere to go downwards? No. He's doing all right. But sadly, his all right is just probably not good enough in the Premier League. And that's the real issue we face as a team, is until we've, I don't know, it's the manager's got to, this is where the manager earns his money. That's all I'm going to say. This is where he earns his money.
Your job as a coach is to squeeze every last drop out of your players. It's great when your players are incredible and you go in and then fine margins win your stuff at the top level. But fine margins keep you out of trouble at the bottom end, and fine margins keep you in the middle at the table. And as a manager, you can talk about being lucky, unlucky, whatever. Things are all, football is always sliding doors, really, unless you're Sheffield United. Like Premier League teams, if you look at everybody, I'm sure Luton could argue loads of games this season where it could have gone the other way for them. You know, teams have equalised. Liverpool equalised late on against them, didn't he? And things like that. Well, they could have well seen that game out. Man City scored kind of like the last 25 minutes, I think, against them when they won 1-0. So there's points that they've lost with fine margin. So everyone's always going to have a fine margin story in the Premier League because that's the way it is. So you have to try to get more out of your side. Crystal Palace changed Roy Hodgson because they'd lost a few games and they looked like this isn't very good and the fans weren't happy. They brought Oliver Glasner in and he's come in. Okay, he's had one of everything, hasn't he? He's had a win, a draw and a defeat. Now, they're playing differently already than what they were under Hodgson. Now, results aren't amazing, so you go, well, definitely it was the right decision, but they're trying to do something about it. So every manager who is in post, like Forrest sacked Steve Cooper and haven't really got any kind of kick from it really. Where they are, Burnley have gone, no matter what happens, company's staying, fair play, well, you know, that's the decision they've made. So it isn't a straightforward thing, you go and you sack the manager, your results will get better. But I think as a manager, all you can do is try everything to get the most out of your players. But there is different ways of playing, and those different ways of playing garner different results. Like look at Sean Dyche last season. Frank Lampard is in a tailspin and didn't look capable, but he looked like he was gone. His head had gone. You looked at him and was like, beaten man, didn't you? And you looked at that team at that West Ham game, it was terrifying, wasn't it? We got beat 2-0 at West Ham, it was terrifying. We done nothing. You know, Michael Antonio, I know he's a bit of a tip, but he was on the thing saying, oh, some of the stuff he says is terrible. And he was like, I couldn't believe it. We were winning 2-0. They weren't even trying to get back in the game because we were gone. And then Sean Dyche come in with the same set of players and created this different way of getting results, and it got results. Well, now he's in a tailspin because 11 games without a win is horrific. It's an awful record, worst it's been for over 30 years. It's not getting any better right now. It could get worse before it gets better. So he's either got to throw his hand in and get off, which he's not going to do, or he's got to come up with something different to do. We've got a break now. So he's going to have to come up with, and it might be a change of formation or whatever. Throw the two lads up front together. Not in a 4-4-2. Play three at the back or something. Push two wing backs. Throw the two lads up front and go, can we create more chaos with these two on the pitch? I mean, Jack, is that something that he should be looking at, or do you think no, stick with what he's doing and see if that changes?
I think he certainly needs to look at changing some aspects of our performance because 11 games out of win isn't good enough. But I think the thing Sean Dyche will look at, and I think a lot of fans will look at as well, is we are better off right now than we were last season as well, with predominantly the same group of players. And I think for a lot of people that's where this manager argument starts and ends. They'll say, look, it's established this isn't a great squad because the bulk of this squad has fought relegation for a number of years. Right now they're doing better than they have been doing, therefore the manager's doing an okay job. I'm sure to some level, to some degree, that's what Sean Dyche believes as well. He'll be well aware that this team was struggling before he came in, and under his management they're doing a bit better. That being said, 11 games isn't good enough, is it? So we need to look at where on the pitch this team is struggling, how do we improve that. We also need, like I keep saying, to keep in mind, okay, where's this team doing well? We've got a good defensive record. Let's not compromise that. So it's about making gains without making too many sacrifices, and that's difficult when you've got limited players. It's okay if you've got a big squad of talented players and swap one player for another, but it's okay because they're all great. We don't even have 11 good players. We've got, I'd say 5 who were, maybe 5 or 6 who were undoubtedly Premier League quality. Well, the rest get by on hard work and just being functional in this team as well. So it goes back to what you said about how do you get the most out of these players. Some of these players, all they can give is hard work and tracking back and being part of a hard working unit. Others like Onana can really give something to this team, and we need to find a way to maximise that. Look at players like Danjuma, who might be able to give something to this team, but we haven't really been able to see yet. How do we find a way to get him into this team and maybe make it work? We know if we play him in our current system, he doesn't work. He doesn't do the running that Jack Harrison does. But is his on the ball, his superior on the ball ability worth making a change in the formation? So Danjuma working hard doesn't matter, but someone else is doing that running, and now you've got a better player in the final third.
It's something to look at, and maybe he could go and be a different type of striker in it too, maybe, just to give you a different option. Chimitti's another one who's saying he's ready, and he hasn't shown that he's ready, but you never know. Sometimes just a different spark that you need. Ped, I mean, that being said, Manchester United just wanted the players on the counter-attack, which we all kind of knew would happen, rather. And they got Garnacho 1-on-1 with Tarkowski on the corner. I just couldn't understand what... Tarkowski, I think, has been an excellent signing for Everton, and he's had a good, solid season, but I just don't understand defenders trailing legs out in the... I just don't get it.
It was soft penalty because it was soft to give away. It was
a penalty, in my opinion.
He's sweep the leg, and he's took him out, and the kid's not going to need an invitation, is he? He's took him out, and you have to just stand up. And if they go past you, they go past you. But you can't be
wide. It wasn't even.
No one else. I'm saying you can't. You've got to. I think at that in that point, you make him. You want to force him on the outside, so you're not even thinking it. I think the stupidity of it is just making a challenge whatsoever.
Yeah.
You don't
just hold them up.
You don't make challenges like that in the box.
No.
You force him to go wide, make him go the long way around you. The angle for a shot is non-existent. I know that you're covered in the box if he pulls it back, and I think that's all you can do as a centre back nowadays. He's got the pace to have him. But yeah, I thought it was so soft, and for such a good start, as in they looked so uncomfortable and so poor that was the most frustrating thing. Is I don't know whether would they have scored an open play. We'll never know. But why do you need to score an open play when we're giving you silly penalties?
So frustrating. Giacomini, obviously, Fernandes v Pickford. Jordan Pickford just stopped saving penalties, hasn't he? We don't. As in, what I mean by that is he's never going to be the favourite. He's a goalie. It's always with the attacker. But I just don't have belief he's going to save one at the moment. And I think that's because so many people have scored them. I think you'd have to go, is it back to Leicester when he did make a huge save last year? But Fernandes, a good penalty. It's in the corner. It's 1-0. And we come back after the penalty and we're back in it because it's 1-0. And you think, well, see if we can get something on them. And then Garnacho goes off on a run again. And it's like, take him outside the box then. Yeah. And then when he's skipping across, I'm wondering what Godfrey's doing. And the frustrating thing is, he overhits it past Godfrey. So if Godfrey doesn't make the challenge, Jack Harrison clears it, and Godfrey throws the foot out and takes him out again. It's like, what's going on? And that's where you can feel for the manager, because you go, what are these doing at the back here?
Yeah, because that's not tactics, is it? That's a player who, throughout his Everton career, has just shown a lack of composure, really. All you need to do is the defender there, once he overhits it, get your body in, steward him, someone else will come and sweep the ball up. Dead simple. Godfrey's stronger, he's bigger, so he'll have no problem shielding Garnacho off the ball at that point. Instead, he has to go in with the challenge, and at 1-0, you're already thinking, look, we don't come from behind anyway. Yeah. These are a counter-attacking team. They're not going to be attacking as much now. They're already a goal up as well. So it's, we had a much better chance at 0-0 winning the ball off them high up the pitch and them not having men back. So already it's feeling like a lost cause. And then Godfrey goes and does that. And I think we all knew at that point the game's done. And you know, we've criticised the manager for treating the game like it's done as well, and because he does have to play it like anything can happen, and we're still in with a chance until the final whistle goes. But as a fan, seeing this team so many times being just completely unable to come back from a goal down, I think we all knew it was done and dusted, didn't we?
I think Onana was a big in that one, wasn't it? Because Onana had been booked previously, and he skipped past him as well because he knew he couldn't touch him. And it's just like little things like that. And Onana had literally just done that, and that's why he got booked on the outside of the box for the free kick. That Pickford saved brilliantly, actually.
It was a good save.
And it's just like little things like that.
That was a booking as well.
No, it was, and that's what I'm saying. It's little things like that, isn't it, where if he's not booked, he stops him on the outside of the box. But again, you just can't touch anybody in the box, so why are you even bothering? You pass it on and hope the next person deals with it, or you just make you just block the shot as much as you can.
It's about body, isn't it? It's body. I mean, we saw this at Goodison against these. It was 1-0, and then Ashley Young trails a foot out, and he catches him, and it's like game over.
Sometimes I just wonder why we're even talking about these. Do you know what I mean? Like,
all right, well, let's.
What I mean by that is like what we said before. It's like sometimes you just go, what's the point for some of these players? They just haven't got.
Pickford done my head in for the second penalty because everything about Marcus Rashford's body shape said he was putting it in that corner. Everything, and I'm going. It's going in the bottom left where you're looking. It's going in. You look at his body shape, and he dives to the right, and you're like.
It's the same thing we criticised Beto for. It
was just so telegraphed. Rashford telegraphed it. Now goalie dove out the way of it. But we're 2-0 down. I'll be honest. I thought he should have had the third penalty just right on half time. And the reason Michalenko, and I'll tell you why I thought it was a penalty. Because it was going to Fernandes to sweep it in for 3-0, and it hit his hand.
Oh, yeah. Well, I did say that was a penalty at the time when I was watching it.
I know he's not looking, so people will shoot me down. But if it was at the other end, I'd be fuming because Fernandes has gone.
I couldn't argue with you on that one.
He said within the rules, because he was, I think the thing he used was supporting his challenge.
I just think sometimes they'll be given, and that's why you go. Because
to be honest, I don't think they are ever given anymore because your body is where it is.
Yeah, I mean, in pure common
sense. Why do you want penalties against us?
It's 3. I must see 3 in the first half.
Might have been 4 at the end of the game.
But listen, it is what it is. I just thought because it was going to him and I'd be like, he was about to knock it in, but common sense, he wasn't even looking at the ball, was he? No. So you can't handball if you're not looking for it. Come half time, I'm thinking he'll make something.
That's the good thing about half time is that it was clearly used well, and you could see the tactical reshuffle and the couple of I'm talking about something completely different. Different team.
Now we come out and it was just more of the same. Yeah. We were trying to force our way back into the game. Well,
what does that? Right, we've seen this a couple of times, right, in the last few weeks. What does that say about the team? What does it say when we as fans watch our team? Now in other games, it's. You might be 2-0 down, you might be absolutely terrible, and you might be a goal down, right? And then in this game, you're 2-0 down. And we're all saying there needs to be a sub, there needs to be a change, there has to be some kind of change in momentum in this game. What does that say about the manager? Or what the choices he's got? That he leaves it exactly how it is. When again, this isn't September, it is in October. It's not about seeing things that he sees in training every day and we haven't seen as fans. What does he see or what does he doesn't see within his squad? That means nothing changes whatsoever. And that's not me having a go at him. I'm just saying that from point of view. Does he look at it and go, there is absolutely no point in me changing this because there's nothing I can do to change it?
There's nothing he can do to change what he sets this team to do, what he sets up this team to do, because the only change he makes regularly is Dom for Beto, isn't it?
So what you're saying is, by saying that, is he believes plan A can get us back into the game more than any plan B that he has.
I think that must be his mentality, or the players I have aren't good enough to formulate a plan B. These players are only good at one approach to this game. I can only assume that's his mentality.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That to me, I think there was a game. I'm drawing a blank on what it was, but there was a game a few weeks ago where all of us were basically had identified the same player in a hive mind. Knew he had to come off. Knew there needed to be a change, and there wasn't a change. And before you knew it,
but we saw that with when Onana was sub against Palace, and everyone was saying, need to get Onana on here, and he left them until we were 1-0 and then put him on.
Saturday, it's a case of you're 2-0 down, you're at Old Trafford, you have created opportunities.
But maybe that's what he was thinking.
That's what I'm saying. So he obviously thinks
that. What I was watching, they were saying he'll make 2 changes. This is not Everton viewing. He'll make 2 changes here because the 2-0 down, they've got to change something, and there was no change. And then when the change did come, it was for the front two. Which I wasn't massively against the Corey going off, but I thought, would it not have been better to take James Garner off, drop the Corey back a little bit, because then he will break in the box, and then he could have still made 2 attacking changes. Whereas he just sort of... This is the one thing that I really struggle with Sean Dyche. Really struggle with him. He makes subs, but nothing changes. He just does the same thing. He just goes, you're a striker. Oh, and you're a striker, so off you go, and you come on. So nothing's changed. You're a right-sided player, or you're a centre mid, so you go on. And there's never like, right, let's do this. And that's...
Well, that's the striker one's the funniest
that's
one.
That's the maddest one.
Because he changed it to striker for another striker, but doesn't change how the ball's going to get to the striker. No. So no extra chances are made. So the same guy is still isolated. And yet if you look at the Corey, like the Corey's been the big issue, hasn't he? Since he went out. He's had the injuries and he's come back, and now he just doesn't look anywhere near the same player. Now, you look at his numbers from the weekend and probably the weekend before. In terms of like winning the ball back and stuff like that, defensive stuff, his numbers are terrible. They're just terrible. Like he wins like 1 in 9, right? Like so.
He's just a goal scorer.
So he's a goal scorer. So what you're saying is, well, he's a centre forward then, isn't he? If he ain't winning battles in midfield, then he's a centre forward. So
why did he?
So why not take the Corey off for Dominic Calvert-Lewin?
Leave Beto off.
And leave Beto on.
And then take Beto off and put Chimitty there.
And just.
If you wanted to. Or why didn't he just leave the Corey on and go, well, you can play with Calvert-Lewin for another 10 minutes? Weird. It was just a bit mad.
It's just so weird. There's
no like...
Nothing ever changed. It's like I'm saying, nothing ever changes.
The thing is, with the lack of changes at half-time, I do understand sometimes a manager will go, look, we may be behind, but we've not played badly. Oh, and like, look, it's been isolated incidents, penalties that we shouldn't have given away. I understand not always completely reacting to the scoreline and judging off performance instead, but you can't play the game like it's actually 0-0. You are still 2-0 down, regardless if you think you should be or you've been unfortunate.
Jack,
you still are 2 down.
Absolutely, and it's not about just from my perspective, is this isn't really about Saturday for me. It's looking at the 11 games. We've won 1 in 14. I think the record is in all competitions. Which Benitez and Lampard are gone by the 14th game.
It's
right?
more than worrying.
So you can look and go, okay then. And I said this on the live show before, and people can take this however they want, right? But if this wasn't Everton, we would all be sitting here doing a review of the Premier League, and whichever club you replaced Everton with at the moment, you would say, they're going. They're in real trouble, because there's always one club that just drops. It was Brentford a couple of seasons ago, and then Christian Eriksen got hold of them and dragged them back and got them away.
Crystal Palace last year.
And they had to sack him and put Roy Hodgson in, and then they went bang, 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 got a few wins, and it was like, what were we worried about? Right? And this is where Everton are at now. Everton, 1 win in 14 games in all competitions is terrifying. Oh, it's absolutely terrifying.
Any manager should be sacked for that.
That run,
I mean, that's just
terrible.
Fact. I mean, that's just... People don't like to hear it, but that's just fact.
They don't, but...
It's just
But 11 Premier League, 33 points. Our next 2 away games are Bournemouth and Newcastle away. The next 2 games. Now, it isn't a big stretch to say Everton could lose both of them games or not win them.
Why would anyone suggest we would win those games?
So then when we play Burnley at home, it's 13 games without a win, more than a third of the season without winning a game of football.
In a game, you have to win.
That is terrifying. So I want to strip that back to the subs. I'm not talking about Saturday. There's loads of games where you're right. You come off and go, how are we 2-0 down there? Yeah, and you scratch your head. But it's like, how do we react then? Do I just say, as a manager, if it's me, lads come in the dressing room at 2-0 down, just go, but I know that you've got 2 goals in you, and Oped's got a goal in, and lads keep going. I'd back you two to score goals for Everton at the weekend rather than the players we've got at the minute. Because right now, there's no change in tactics that we could see, and certainly no change in personnel. And I think when you're on that kind of run, sometimes it is good to go, right, this is what we're doing for the second half. Now, it might not be Saturday. It could be a different game, but we're not seeing it in other games as well. But I'm sorry, and people will tell me I'm wrong and all that, whatever. I don't buy this thing that these players are dreadful, they can't do any better, you can't teach them a different way to play because you're always going to get the same outcomes, because I don't believe it. Luton Town score a lot of goals with players who've never played in the Premier League before, all different types of people scoring goals. Even Sheffield United scored a lot of goals, but they've scored some goals and they're really poor, and yet they haven't got a centre forward to call their own, and they're still scoring goals. So if you look around, Sean Dyche got us doing it last year, didn't he? He got us getting clean sheets where we didn't look capable of keeping the clean sheets. So there is different ways you can have a team set up. So he's got to use this time now, because let's be honest, the second half came, we had one opportunity, in my opinion, really, to score a goal, and it was a knockdown by Godfrey. Dom Calvert-Lewin shoved in the back, because at first it looks like a terrible miss. But when you see it again, he's shoved in the back, so he's landing that way. Yeah. And as he turns, the ball's there, and he puts his leg out.
Dobbin knocks it back.
Dobbin knocks it back. Yeah. That's the only. And because you see his eyesight face, he's looking that way because he's being shoved. Not a penalty, but he's knocked. He's off balance, and he by the time he notices the ball, it's past him. That was the only real moment where you went, that was a goal. And they had Garnacho, the far post, he should have scored. He hit another one just over the bar because pace caught us out. And this takes me back to what I said about recruitment. Yeah. You're right, with money and with lack of funds, it's difficult. But I'm quite sure there's a player in Europe who Everton could have got in who's fast, even in January, on loan. There was some, well, not a lot, there was some money available for a loan. But certainly last summer, to just get you that one option off the bench, he is really quick. He might be great, but he takes us up the pitch, commits people. Because right now, we have our centre forward, and then we have our Decore behind them, and then our wingers are almost in a line of a 4.
A flat 4.
They're just a flat 4. And when you watch like Sean Dyche on the coach's voice, and you see him, how he talks about Burnley, it's exactly what we're seeing now. It's the split striker, and then it's the 2 banks of 4. And the problem is with the 2 banks of 4 is we're not overloading with fullbacks. We don't bomb down. We don't go on the outside of our wingers, who don't go on the outside anyway, and whip cross after crossing, so you can flood the box and get goals. I think
the top and bottom of him, we've said it multiple times, is the job Sean Dyche is doing, how you think about it comes down to how good you think our players are. And that's the top and bottom. The less you think of our players, the more you think of Sean Dyche, how good a job he's done. And I think that's the top. And that's where it's really hard to say whether it's a good job or not. I mean, he's got, in effect, 31 points, and people will go, well, that's what, 13th place? So that's, that's mid-table and all that kind of thing. But
gone 3 months without a win.
It's 3 months without a win. And that's massive.
Could be 4 by the
That's massively important. And it says 25 points. It doesn't say 31 points.
And it could say 22. It could say 19 in a couple of weeks.
Back to what I said about, reacting to the scoreline, and the scoreline is our points tally in this scenario, isn't it? Realistically, we don't deserve to be on 25 points. We deserve to be on 31. But we are on 25, and we need to react to that, don't we? I think, it should never be forgotten, just when you're judging player and manager performance, that they are better than where the league table currently shows them as. That's a fact, because we've had 6 points taken off us. But it's also a fact that we've had those points taken off us and now need to react to that.
It's like saying Calvert-Lewin's had goals taken off him and disallowed, so he's doing better than people give him credit for. The reality is he hasn't scored for 5 months. He hasn't, because it's Jack Harrison. So, and that's what I'm saying. There's the thing. It's exactly the same premise, mate. Exactly the same. The reality is, and until people start facing reality and going, oh yeah, stop sleepwalking. Because what we're doing and what we're sounding like is people are sleepwalking into relegation. Got 31 points. No, we haven't. Got 25. We ain't getting 6. But forget the 6. Never coming back. And we're losing more, probably.
What if we don't get another point this season and Luton get 32 points or Forest get 32 points? It's not something we should be championing. We've known about the points deduction since November. And we've won 4 games since. And those 4 games just seem to come together. And I heard them in the aftermatch talking about those 4 games. Like, that was somehow those 4 games encapsulated our season. Like, that was an amazing win and run. Whereas the reality is, what's happened since that is just blowing that out the water and left that as a distant memory. And if you take the season as a whole, those 4 games are the very isolated moments of the season. That's a very isolated moment of the season where we've done all right. You take it as in about the first 4 games of the season.
No, listen, they've got to use this time now that they're away. They're going to Portugal, aren't they? And having some downtime. Got to use this to freshen everything up, freshen some ideas up, so that when we go to Bournemouth, they were 2-0 down at home to Burnley the other day, and got out of jail, but scored a late equaliser. We've got to, and it's not a ground we do very well at, but we can go to Bournemouth and win. Then that would be a tremendous result for us, and hopefully, the problem is Luton have got 2 games before we play, and Forest as well. So
that's what
we'll
it is.
Just have to see. That's just the way it is. Amadou Onana, apparently Manchester United are looking at him. I don't think he had a particularly good game at the weekend. So let's have a look at his numbers, see if I was wrong. 61 touches, 2 key passes, completed 5 out of 7 of his long balls. 7 out of 11 duels, won 2 tackles. I mean, the reason why I'm saying he didn't have particular, I don't think he was bad, but there's some games where I think you've got more. Or it feels like
he's
anyway.
Someone we look to as
in those
potential standard setter in this team.
I don't know, sometimes I just feel like you're better than what you're up against, and he just didn't, like, as in he's really asserting. The booking probably made a difference, of course it did, but even that was a rash challenge on the edge of the box, and he just done one of them brilliant slide tackles where he wins the ball back when he slides in, and it's like, you've sort of tempered your game then. So I was a little bit frustrated because
listen, he didn't have a good. He didn't have a great game. He didn't have a good game. He just had a bang average game, and sometimes
he is someone, no Ped, we need to step.
No, he is. I just think he plays in a position where it's really difficult for him to stand out because he's not someone. He doesn't drive. Doesn't drive with the ball. Done this after the game the other day. Him and Garner's numbers are not too dissimilar, and they're basically doing this. They are doing the same job. Even positionals. You look at the average position on the pitch. Basically the same. They're both doing the same job on the pitch. One's better than the other. That's a major problem. We have no one in midfield who drives forward with the ball. That's a huge problem for us. Huge problem.
I think for Onana, though, one of the reasons people maybe overly criticise him is the moments where he is poor can be quite frustrating. We had 5 out of 7 long balls. The 2 he didn't complete were both in around the same 30-second period. He tried the same pass twice and didn't even come close to getting it twice. And he's a player who's, his highs can be so high because he can really dominate the midfield. And the times where he falls short of that can be frustrating because he's the one we're looking to.
Let's have a look at the overall match stats from the game. And the Man United 2, Everton 0, 15 shots for United, 23 for Everton, 8 on target for United, 6 for Everton. 2 big chances for United, just 1 for Everton, and they won the possession. See, too much possession, 49%.
There was, but there is too much possession.
We don't like that.
That's a fact.
We don't like that.
Kryptonite to passing.
There you go. I mean, listen, it was the frustration is not born out of this game, really. No. It's just that this is the one in the latest run of a very similar pattern. Obviously, the penalties are they both can be avoided. That's the frustration there. But what can we do? What can we, what is it? What are you putting it down to? Is it the manager? Is it the players? Or is it both? Is it just everything right now? But one thing's for sure, we've got to start getting some results quickly because the games are running out and we've hit a brick wall massively. We're just not going anywhere, are we? Everyone's catching us. Right, just gonna carry on for a couple of minutes over on Toffee TV Premier. We'll be going through your comments. Everyone else hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't. See you later.